If silver was real money for thousands of years, why did the governments get rid of it? Because real money limits control. Today, we break down why silver mattered and why the rules were changed. Now, let's get into it.
This is not financial advice. Congratulations! You got the first comment on my last video.
Silver is not just a metal, not just a shiny collectible, not just something locked away in a vault or stacked in the safe. Silver was money long before politicians, central banks, and paper promises took over the world. For thousands of years, civilizations across the globe trusted silver not because they were told to, but because silver had a real value. And if silver was trusted as money for so long, why did the governments move away from silver-backed money in the first place? Across ancient kingdoms, empires, and trade routes, silver proved itself as a reliable store of value and a trusted medium of exchange. Why? Because real money needs certain qualities, like it has to be durable, it has to last, it has to be divisible, it has to be portable, and it has to also be difficult to fake, and above all, it has to be trusted. And silver checked every box. You could melt it, weigh it, can divide it into smaller units, mint it into coins, like this one, and trade it across regions. And silver, unlike other metals like iron, it wouldn't rust, and unlike paper, it couldn't simply be printed into oblivion. That's why silver and gold became deeply embedded in the history of trade. This is something I like to think about often. Entire civilizations, separated by oceans, languages, religions, all arrived at the same conclusion, that silver and gold holds value, and that is not an accident. That has been thousands of years of human experience. And silver or gold wasn't just used because it was pretty. It was used because it represented labor, scarcity, and purchasing power. Precious metals meant something. It had weight, it had substance, it had limits. That matters because real money puts limits on power. Money must be backed by something tangible, like gold or silver. Then governments cannot create endless currency out of thin air. They had to live within reality. It wasn't just money, it was discipline. If silver-backed money was a stable, trusted, and rooted in real value, then why abandon it? The answer is power. Because precious metals backed currency limits what governments and financial systems can do. When currency is tied to gold and silver, you can't just create unlimited money whenever it becomes politically convenient. You couldn't endlessly fund wars, bailouts, and debt-fueled expansion without facing the consequences. A precious metals-backed system forced restraint, but governments do not like restraint. They prefer flexibility. They prefer control. They prefer the ability to spend now and deal with the consequences later. So over time, nations moved away from metal-based money and toward paper currency. At first, paper notes, claims on real silver, a promise, a receipt, something you could exchange for actual metal. But eventually the receipt became the illusion and the promise was broken. Governments realized something dangerous. If people accepted paper instead of metal, the state could issue more claims than it actually had silver to cover. That opened the door to currency expansion, banking manipulation, rising debt, and inflation. And once that door was opened, it never really closed. Moving away from precious metals-backed money gave governments and central banks far more room to engineer economies, finance deficits, and control the population through monetary policy. In plain English, they traded honest money for unlimited promises. They replaced weight with words, value with confidence, and metal with manipulation. But look around today. Currency are losing purchasing power. Savings get eroded by inflation. Debt levels explode, and ordinary people work harder just to maintain the same standard of living. That is what happens when money is disconnected from something real. Gold and silver backed money didn't appear because silver or gold failed. It disappeared because it got in the way. It got in the way of endless spending. It got in the way of financial control. It got in the way of a system built on expansion, leverage, and debt. In my opinion, that is why precious metals still matter now, because every ounce of physical metal is outside the paper illusion. It cannot be printed, it cannot be voted into existence, it cannot be digitally manipulated by a central bank. It simply is what it is, real, finite, tangible. So when people ask why gold and silver has been used as money for thousands of years, the answer is simple. because it earned trust through history. And when people ask why governments moved away from precious metals backed money, the answer is just as simple: because real money limits power, silver and gold didn't change, the system did. And maybe, just maybe, that's why more people today are waking up to stacking and remembering what money looks like. Because in a world drowning in paper promises, debt, and digital illusion, silver and gold still speaks the language of truth. This is Self Stand firm, stack wisely, and never forget what real money is.